Everyone sells you the same gentle lie. When your life ends, it really ends. You close your eyes, the pain fades, and finally you rest. No more light, no more struggle, just peace. The one mercy every living thing is promised. It's fake, not the peace, the ending. If one credible reading of modern physics is right, you never die. Not once, not ever. And that's not a comfort. It's a sentence. They call it quantum immortality. Stick around and you'll stop being afraid of dying. You'll start being afraid of something much worse. Never getting to. Picture a gun pressed to your temple. You pull the trigger. In this timeline, you drop. But the universe doesn't settle for one outcome. It splits. Instantly. In a branch that broke off a split second earlier, the round jams. The firing pin hits a dud. You're standing there, heart slamming, very much alive. Here's the part nobody says out loud. Your awareness only ever follows the version of you that lives. The dead versions feel nothing because there's no you left in them to feel the loss. But the living you keeps going every single time. No exceptions. Car crashes, terminal cancer, a plane dropping out of the sky. In some absurdly rare timeline, you walk out of it, and your consciousness snaps onto that surviving body, again and again, forever. You think you're in your 20s? On a cosmic scale, you might be older than the stars. You watch everyone you love fade out, one by one, while you stay. Can't leave. Can't end it. Death was never the trap. Living is. And this isn't a horror story I made up. It's a serious physics hypothesis, born in 1957. To see why it can't just be laughed off, we have to take apart the reality you think you're sitting in. You feel solid right now. The chair holds you up. The screen in front of you feels dense and real. It isn't. Take a speck of dust off your hand and magnify it 1,000 times. You'd see intricate microscopic structure. Go deeper. Cell nuclei. The coded blueprint of life. Deeper still. Coiled strands of DNA. Keep going and you hit the atom, the building block of everything. And atoms are almost entirely empty. More than 99.999% pure void. If an atom's nucleus were a marble, the electrons circling it would be tiny flies, kilometers away. So why does the world feel firm? Why can't your hand pass straight through a table? Repulsion. Electrons shove against electrons. An invisible push tricks your skin into feeling something solid, which means you have never actually touched a single thing in your life. Not a table, not another person. All you've ever felt is that push. And once you really sit with that, the idea that your whole life is fixed and certain starts to wobble too. And these electrons, these photons that build everything, flat out refuse to obey the rules you were taught. Which brings us to the experiment that haunted Einstein for the rest of his life. The double-slit test. Scientists fire single particles of light through two narrow slits onto a screen. Logically, like stones thrown through two doorways, they should leave two straight lines. Instead, the screen lights up with alternating bright and dark bands, exactly like waves rippling on water. Each single particle goes through both slits at once and interferes with itself. Weird, but okay. You can live with light acting like a wave. Then the real nightmare starts. They set up detectors to catch which slit each particle went through. The moment they started watching, the ripples vanished. Gone. The particles snapped into solid little bullets and left two clean straight lines. Unwatched, particles live in many states at once. Watched, they lock into one. Think of a cat that dances and roams every room while you're out. Open the door, and it freezes, curled up, perfectly still. Observation makes reality. And here's what gets me. It means the act of looking, something you and I do all day without thinking, is doing something to the world. That should scare a regular person more than it scares a physicist, which leaves an impossible paradox. If every particle that builds you lives in endless uncertainty, why does your life feel so fixed and definite? To wrestle with that, physicists dreamed up Schrödinger's cat, A sealed box holds a cat, a vial of poison, and a radioactive atom with a 50% chance of decaying. Unobserved, the atom is both decayed and intact. So the cat isn't maybe dead or maybe alive. It's both at the same time until someone opens the box and forces one answer. That broke classical physics. Then, in 1957, a Princeton grad student named Hugh Everett floated an idea that still gives people chills. Observation doesn't collapse reality. It splits it. One universe opens onto a living cat. Another onto a dead one. Both versions of you are real. Both sets of memories are genuine. And the two timelines will never touch again. Every choice, every random event, every possible outcome splits the universe again. Coffee or tea this morning? Both happened. In two separate worlds. The life you didn't pick is being lived right now by another you. Now you get the horror of quantum immortality. In every fatal disaster, infinite new timelines peel off, and your awareness only stays in the branches where you survived. You keep sliding into the you that lives. That's the cage you can't see the bars of. Now the honest part. The part most videos skip. The double-slit experiment, superposition, particles behaving like waves. All of that is proven, repeatable, hard science. The splitting universes, that's the many worlds interpretation. It's a mathematical interpretation, not a proven fact. It can't be tested. It can't be falsified. And the best physicists alive still argue about it hard. Hugh Everett never lived to see his theory respected. Born in 1930, he laid his world-cracking model in front of the giants of physics. He wasn't debated. He was ignored. The academic world would not accept a universe splitting without end. So Everett walked away from physics completely. He went into defense work, burned out by the silence, chain smoking, and drinking through a quiet kind of bitterness. He died in his sleep, heart failure, in 1982, aged 51. In some parallel world, he's a Nobel laureate. In ours, he's a forgotten footnote. The saddest chapter comes next. His daughter Elizabeth fought mental illness her whole life. In 1996, she died by suicide. Her final note said she was going to another universe to be with her father again. That is not proof of physics. It's not evidence of parallel worlds. It's a grieving woman holding on to the one hopeful idea her father ever left the world. A beautiful, devastating theory that swallowed its creator and then his family. And here's the truth about the so-called evidence. There isn't any. The cosmic cold spot in the afterglow of the Big Bang? Some claim it's a bruise from another universe slamming into ours. Mainstream science calls it statistical noise, an unusually empty stretch of space. A mystery, not a proof. Those strangely mature early galaxies the James Webb Telescope caught? Baffling, sure, but explainable with ordinary astronomy. A puzzle, not a portal. Deja vu, the Mandela effect. Tempting to pin on overlapping timelines. But the honest answer is cognitive bias, your brain patching over gaps in memory. And that radio frequency line Michio Kaku made famous? It's a teaching metaphor. Poetic. Not a literal fact about the cosmos. I'm telling you all of this to give you honest fear, not cheap fiction. Strip away every guess, and one unsettling possibility is still standing. Still not ruled out. Death may not be an exit. There may be no exit at all. The rest, the ending, the peace, almost every human quietly hopes for at the end. It may simply never be on offer. You just blinked. In one timeline, you closed this page and moved on. In this one, you stayed and you heard every last word. Out of infinite possible branches, I'm glad you're in this one with me. And if there's no way out, then the only thing that's truly yours is this. This stretch of time, this breath, the people still here while you're here. Maybe that's the real point hiding inside the horror. Not to fear the ending and not to chase it, but to stop wasting the one branch you're actually awake in, because the alternative to peace was never darkness. It was endless, inescapable, eternal life.